is made for her to join the other meeting. I am also joined by the members of the regulator who are members of the subcommittee. I will start with Advocate Sithole, who is the CEO of NESA and member of the Public Gas Committee. Advocate Sithole, can you read so that members can calibrate your voice?
And good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, members, and to all members of the public. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Next, I will come to Mr. Nhlanhla Gumede, who is the member primarily responsible for electricity regulation at NESA and a member of this committee. Mr. Gumede.
Good morning, Chairperson, to members and the members of the public.
Thank you. I will then come to the regulator member primarily responsible for petroleum pipelines regulation at NESA, Mr. Muzi Mkhize. Mr. Mkhize, please greet.
Good morning, Chairperson, members, all the attendees, as well as members of the public that are following us through the various live streaming channels. Thank you.
Thank you. And last, chairperson of the normal chairperson of this meeting, Ms. Maseti, who is the regulator member primarily responsible for pipe gas regulation at NESA. Ms. Maseti? I suspect she has already joined the other meeting. Colleagues and the members of the public, we are ready to start the meeting, and we will start with item number 3, the adoption of the agenda. May I check with the members if there's any item that will be modified or any modifications that members would like to propose to the agenda? Please raise your hands. None? There are no proposed changes to the agenda. May I just propose that on the agenda, under the minutes of the subcommittee of September, if we could be approving them, not noting them, both the minutes and the special meeting of that, if you could change that, Eliezer, to show that it's approval of those minutes, not noting of the minutes. Thank you. Colleagues, may you please then raise your hands to indicate that we are adopting the agenda with those changes. But Mr. Mkhize, Mr. Gumede, and Advocate Sithole, and Ms. Maseti, minutes have been, the agenda has been adopted. Can we then go to item number 4? Item number 4 is a declaration of interest. If there's a member who would like to make a verbal declaration, may that member do so now. Otherwise, may we all complete the declaration of interest forms. None. We are then going to move on to item number 5. Item number 5 is the ROMCO GTA Tariff 1 for the period July 2024 to the period 30 September 2024. Mr. Ngomalo, or I'm not sure who would be taking that over, but please go ahead.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will start, and then the team can come in where I might have left anything. Chairperson, this is a report on the ROMCO tariff, and as we indicated, this is for the period July 2024 to September 2024. And it's essentially Q3 in terms of how it's termed in the report. The purpose of this is really to monitor the tariff that is charged by ROMCO, and based on a previous decision taken by the PGS to monitor this tariff on a quarterly basis. And the tariff that was calculated or that is being monitored is shown, Chairperson, on Table 4. And that table also reflects just a comparison of the tariff that was charged by ROMCO against the tariff that was actually approved by the energy regulator for this period. And the table does show that indeed ROMCO did comply with the tariff that was approved by NESA for that period. And the report then lastly also shows the tariff calculated for the next quarter, which is the quarter starting at from 1st October 2024 to December 2024. And that tariff is calculated at 21.78 per gigajoule, and that represents just a marginal or slight increase of about 0.53% compared to the tariff that was approved in the previous quarter. And that marginal increase was really due to the increase in the rebased PPI figure that was 101.5 in the previous period, and it has now risen to 102.0. Chairperson, then as an attachment at the end of that submission, we've also then attached the list of all the tariffs that have been charged for the year since the year 2004 to the year 2000 to the year 2004. It's marked as an Annexure A. And lastly, then we've got the recommendations, which are on page 7, on paragraph 14. And Chairperson, just to note that again, we've noted the concern that you raised earlier on with regard to the calculation on that table that is on page 11. Then we will attend to that. And Chairperson, just to indicate that we're trying our best, yes, and we know that there might still be teething problems, maybe certain things falling through the cracks in certain instances. But we will work the hardest, continue to work hard on that to address those issues, Chairperson. And we will then attend to the corrections on those tables, on that particular table. Chairperson, I think I'll leave it there and maybe take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Nxumalo. Members of the Pipe Gas Subcommittee, any questions, comments, points to be clarified on this? Please raise your hand to indicate that you have a point to clarify or a question. Ms. Maseti?
Chairperson, mine is not a question. It is just to clarify as a comment that this is not a tariff that was approved by the energy regulator. I think Mr. Nxumalo may have made a mistake during his presentation. So we don't have powers to approve we don't have powers to approve this tariff. All we do is the monitoring. So it is in line still with Section 4H of the Pipe Gas Subcommittee, sorry, the Pipe Gas Act. So I just wanted to clarify that aspect, Chairperson. But this one is in the regulatory agreement. So we are continuing with that tariff to monitor as opposed to approve. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Maseti. I was actually going to go to 4.9, but thank you for that clarification. Members, if there are no other questions, may we then go to the recommendations that are on page, what is this page? Okay, I can't see the page, but it's number 14 and 14.1. We are Mr. Mkhize, you're already approving.
Yes, so yes, I approve, but sorry for the slight delay. I approve, but I also request that the team emphasize the issue of verification outside of just obtaining documents from a licensee, to look at the verification maybe from customers instead of only citing a licensee. Yeah, just to include that aspect in the write-up, so that one can have confidence in us verifying the information. But I support the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Colleagues, that's really an enhancement for this monitoring going forward. So I'm going to start again. Could just indicate by raising our hands that we are approving that this committee notes report for the ROMCO GTA1 tariff. I've got Mr. Mkhize, Mr. Gumede, and Ms. Maseti. Advocate Sithole? And Advocate Sithole. The recommendations, the GTA monitoring is noted. Colleagues, we are going to move on to the next item. Apologies. The next item is the report on the monitoring of Egoli Gas for their compliance with the approved maximum prices. Mr. Nguman.
Thank you, Chairperson. This is a report on the monitoring of Egoli Gas's compliance with the maximum price approved, and this is for the period July 2023 to June 2024. Chairperson, the maximum prices approved for this period are shown on tables number 1, 2, and 3 of the submission. And it will be noted that the maximum price of 134, this is the one that was approved and basically used in the determination of compliance. This was approved in December 2023. Hence, members will notice that the previously approved maximum price of 150.31 was used to assess compliance for the period prior to that, and that is the period July 2023 to December 2023. Chairperson, Egoli was requested to provide invoices and a price schedule in order for us to check and verify with the approved maximum price. And I think just in anticipation, again, I've noted the comment made by Mr. Mkhize with regard to just verification for that to be included. Chairperson, the prices charged by Egoli in the period are shown in Table 4, and that is in comparison with the approved price, maximum price by NESA. And the table also shows that Egoli price complied with the approved maximum price. And the report then also assesses compliance with Section 22 in terms of the treatment of Egoli Gas's customers. The list of customers that Egoli Gas had for this period is shown under table number 5, together with the volumes that are related to each and every one of those customers. Chairperson, we found that the Egoli has complied with Section 22 as there is no indication that it unduly discriminated between its customers. The recommendations are on page 11, Chairperson, under that paragraph 14 for noting of the report. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Ngumalo. Any questions, comments, clarifications, enhancements, members of the PGS? If none, I'm going to, Advocate Sithole.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks to the presenter. Chair, mine is just a point of clarification on page 4, paragraph 4.8 and 4.9. Because if you look at the last approved maximum price, it was for 1 January to 30 June. But the one that we are saying we've currently received, it's for 1 March 2024 to February 2025. I thought the first quarter of the current application is covered in the previous one. I don't know, maybe I'm just reading the timelines incorrectly. If the team can just assist me to understand, why are we saying the current one is from 1 March 2024 to 28 February 2025, when in actual fact, the last one ended on the 30th of June 2024. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Mr. Ngumalo.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will be assisted by the team again in terms of additions. This report is actually for the period July 2023 to June 2024. And I think what might have happened, Chairperson, is that the tariff or the maximum price that we are assessing was approved in 2 phases. Was approved in December 2023. But prior to that, there was a maximum price that was applicable, which is that 150.31 that we mentioned earlier on. And I think then maybe in the just the calculation or maybe the indication on the tables, we might have made an error in terms of just not showing that correctly. But the one that the calculation or the assessment was done on the period prior to the December 2023 which was a different maximum price, and hence then for the period after that, we then utilized the 134 that is indicated there. But let me allow Ms. Makot and the team to also come in and just clarify with regard to those two tables, 4.8 and 4.9.
Thank you, Chairperson. In terms of the NERSA decision, when NERSA approved the maximum price, it becomes effective from the date that the decision is made. And in this regard, therefore, the decision of NERSA was made on the 14th of December 2023 to approve the maximum price. And what the licensee did is then that from January 1st of January 2024 up until June 2024, it then used the maximum price that was approved on the 14th of December 2023. And therefore, when we monitored the maximum price, the period before December was using the previously approved price. And then from January 2024, it now used the price that was approved by NERSA on the 14th of December 2023. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Makot. Advocate Sithole, may I check with you? Are you covered?
Chairperson, not entirely. I'll speak to the team offline, because when you look at 4.9, it talks about an application that is for 1 March 2024. And the confusion for me was that 1 March 2024 is included in the previous tariff approval. But I'll get clarity, Chair, on the side with the team, so that we also try and craft it in such a manner it becomes clear in the submission. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Members of the regulator, I think it's also going to be a miss of me. I know that I chose a table in the other one, but Mr. Ngomalo still mentioned the tables, table 2, table 3. Now, if you just look at table 3 and do what I said I do, when I add, I start from the right. 7 plus 3 plus 5 are going to give me 15, not 16. I think this time I just want to put it on the record. Can it be explained? I mean, I have Excel as well, and I've added those numbers. Can somebody just explain to me how do we get this? Not this rounding off thing, which I don't understand. So when you have an Excel table that is put in those numbers, how does it add incorrectly? Ms. Makota, Mr. Ngumal.
Chairperson, I think the calculations are done on an Excel spreadsheet, but I think I'll allow the team to come in and just clarify exactly how the calculation is done, and then so that we can determine where the error might have occurred, Chairperson. Maybe let me allow Ms. Makot and then the team to quickly clarify how the calculation is done. I think that will be important before we proceed.
Chair, in terms of the calculations, like you said, we drew on the Excel spreadsheet, and what is reflected there is what the applicant had applied for as per the application. I was still trying to check what could be the error that was made there. So I'm afraid of making a mistake or responding on something that I'm not sure of. But if we can be allowed time to check on it and then revert back to the committee.
Thank you, Ms. Makot. And then going forward, then colleagues, in the presentations that you are going to make, Mr. Ngumal, please ensure that when you are presenting, you indicate to the committee that you have identified this and you are correcting it in that. It shouldn't be us that are asking that. Will that be in order, Mr. Ngumal?
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Colleagues, may I then take you to the recommendations? The recommendations are on, still going down, colleagues, please bear with me. recommendations, paragraph 14.1, we are required to note the Egoli gas, that the Egoli gas complied with 21P of the Gas Act, and that the Egoli gas complied with Section 22 of the Gas Act. Please indicate by raising your hands if you are in support of noting this, colleagues. Mr. Kumede, Advocate Stole, Ms. Maseti, Mr. Mkize, and Mr. Mkize, thank you. The item is noted. We are going to go to the next item. Item number 7. This is the Novo Energy Compliance Report. Mr. Ngumal.
Thank you, Chairperson. This is a report on the compliance of Novo Energy with the approved maximum price, and this is for the period July 2023 to April 2024. The maximum price approved for this period was 333.62, as shown in Table 1. It will be noted that the maximum price was approved in October 2023, hence the previously approved maximum price of 268.21 was used to assess compliance for the period just before that. I think, Chairperson, similar to what we indicated in the previous submission. The approval in this case was in October 2023. And hence the assessment used a slightly different figure of 268 for the period to assess compliance prior to that period. Novo was requested again to provide invoices and a schedule in order to check and verify and clarify compliance. And that will also be indicated then in the submission as an enhancement based on what we discussed earlier. The price charged for this period is shown under Table 2, and that is in comparison to the price approved by NERSA. And the table shows that there was actual compliance with regard to the maximum price charged as it was below the approved maximum price. Chair, then the report also assesses Novo's compliance with Section 22 in terms of the treatment of its customers. And the list of customers, again, that Novo had for this period is shown under Table 3, together with the volumes applicable to those customers. The information that shows actually that ROMCO has complied with Section 22, as there's no indication that there was any discrimination between the customers. Chairperson, Novo considered and used appropriate differentiating factors where it had to, and hence the compliance with Section 22. The recommendations on this one are on page 10, and Chairperson, just to indicate again lastly that any corrections on the table will be attended to as indicated by members. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Ngomalo. Members of the PGS, there's a submission in front of us that requires us to note the compliance of Novo with Section 21(1)(p) of the Gas Act and with Section 22 of the Gas Act. Any questions, comments? If none, colleagues, may you indicate by raising your hand that you are in support of noting this monitoring report. I've got Mr. Kumede, Ms. Maseti, Advocate Sitole, and Mr. Mkize. Thank you. The report is noted. We are going to go on to the next report, which is now the update of the MRP and risk-free rate calculations for the period 30 September 2024. Mr. Ngumal, Mr. Mkize, is this an old hand? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. If I'm ready to introduce with your permission.
Yes, Mr. Ngumula, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, the purpose of this calculation really and the publication of the MRP and risk-free rate is really to ensure consistency in the calculation of the two elements in order to minimize the discrepancies between NERSA and licensees' calculations. And publishing this information really enhances transparency and predictability of the calculations made by stakeholders. The source of data that we've used in relation to this calculation is detailed under table number 1. And basically, it shows the data sources that we've used. And NESA has calculated an MRP of 3.82% and a risk-free rate of 10% for this period, which is the period ended 30 September 2024. And we've provided Chairperson the detailed calculation of these two components under Annexure A of the submission. And members will notice that the table 2 also shows a comparison of the market risk premium and the risk-free rate calculated for the previous period. We always try to do this, Chairperson, just to show how the calculation that was done for the current period compares to the calculation that was in the previous period. And Chairperson, the previous period was for the period until 30 September 2024, and we've compared that to the period ended June 2024. Chairperson, we've noted that the MRP actually increased in this period by 0.06%. And just to indicate again for clarity, that the MRP and RFD are components of the cost of equity, which is part of the calculations of the WACC in maximum pricing applications. Chair, the recommendations for this one are on page 7, paragraph 14, for the PGS to note the report. But Chairperson, again, in addition to what we confirmed earlier on, corrections that might be there on the tables will be attended to, Chairperson, as guided by yourself and the members. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Excuse me, Mr. Ngumalo. As of the PGS, there's a report in front of us, and Mr. Ngumalo has read into the record the recommendations. Any questions, comments? If none, colleagues, may you please indicate by raising your hands that you're in support of approving the report for noting. Mr. Mkize, Mr. Gumede, Advocate Sithole, and Ms. Maseti. Thank you. The report is approved. We are going to move to the next item, colleagues, on the agenda. This is item number 9, the report on the new gas source developments in new gas sources. Mr. Ngumalo.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Apologies, Mr. Ngumalo. I think Mr. Mkize forgot. Yeah, thank you. You can.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, in this report, really, we do this, by the way, on a biannual basis. We did present the first report in the first quarter, so this is the second report for the period July to October 2024. Chair, what we do in this report really is to provide an indication of developments that are occurring within the market. And that is important so that we are aware of those developments, and then we can then respond as a regulator appropriately and strategically to the extent that there are certain things that need to be done on the regulator side. But just in terms of the highlights, in terms of developments that occurred within this period, is that there was a report about the planned LNG import terminal that is planned to be developed at Richards Bay. And that is planned to be developed in 2 phases, with the first phase to include a floating and storage unit, and the second phase as well as an onshore regasification facility. Chairperson, Transnet further reported that it is planning to strategically upgrade the Lily pipeline. The Lily pipeline is the main pipeline that basically delivers gas from Secunda to the coastal market in KZN. The upgrade will involve modifying the pipeline to actually transport LNG for the planned Richards Bay LNG project. or from that project to the supply areas in the inland region. Chair, we've also noted in this period that Eskom and Sasol Gas have signed an MOU to collaborate and explore opportunities with a view to, determining the integration of LNG into the local market, Chairperson. And I think lastly, in terms of the local developments, it was reported that a venture by some 30 gas users companies under the auspices of the Gas Users Association, they have actually come together and they're exploring opportunities to actually establish a gas aggregator, which is quite an important development within the market, Chairperson. And then lastly, we had reported on this and it's work in progress, and it's another notable development. The fact that PetroSA has actually entered into an agreement with ENH in Mozambique, and they will soon be basically sourcing gas in addition to the current imports that we have in place within the market. Chair, then in terms of regional developments, we are noting that there is due to the recent uprising and conflict in Mozambique, there may be further delays. There's an LNG project that is taking place in that country. That indications are that due to the uprisings, there may be further delays onto that particular project. Chairperson, there is also still in Mozambique the power project at Inhambane province, which was expected to commence operations in 2025. And that is basically intended to produce about 450 megawatts of power. Chair, then lastly, the report also details developments in Namibia and Tanzania, where there are also LNG projects taking place there. And in terms of just the significance of these developments is that the natural gas discoveries in Namibia and Mozambique in particular do hold potential for benefit for the South African market, and in view again of the much reported issue of the gas shortage within the country. So I think these are then explored as part of the potential measures to basically partly respond to that challenge. And SA's geographic closeness or proximity to Namibia and Mozambique actually does present an opportunity to benefit from gas developments in terms of gas finds in those two countries. I think we have, engaged at meetings that we've had in the past with the policymaker and the department, just indicated, the importance of ensuring that the relevant structures to actually facilitate and bring to fruition these benefits must be put in place, and platforms such as a commission called the Gas Commission that used to sit regularly in the past. We've recommended that that be, restored in terms of regular meetings. Chairperson, the recommendations then are on page 24 of this under paragraph 14, and that's really for noting of the report. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Nomalo. Members of the regulator, here's a report in front of us. Any questions, comments before we note it? Advocate Sithole.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thanks to Mr. Nomalo and the writers of the report. The report, Chairperson, is very interesting and well written. And I was wondering if it was possible for us as a regulator, in as much as Mr. Nomalo has indicated that we've been having engagement with the department. I was wondering if we could share this report with the minister to update him on some of these developments, so that they can also try and pick up some of the action items that are needed at national level, since we have been told that our gas supply will be depleted by or around 2027. So it is a suggestion, Chairperson, that I just wanted to make. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Mr. Mkhize?
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thanks, Mr. Nimble and the team for the report and the presentation thereof. Yeah, the work is commendable. You know, when looking at it, I think we've asked for some topics for our colloquia under the umbrella of the Capacity Building Steering Committee. I think it will help to have a presentation that will cover this aspect, covering right from upstream to downstream, the implications. I think, Mr. Numa, we need to consider that, and then we can then be able to present something that is useful. Because I think this, for me, is also an input into our advocacy drive. Because I'm looking, for example, you talk of a gap in the gas, where you look, for example, under figure, I think it's figure 1, supposed to be table 1, but that South Africa demand forecast, that gap, and then you then indicate that for that gap to be closed, what are the proposals? What needs to be done? And I think that we should be able to look at that, because in advocating, it's also good to not look at what benefits yourself, but as in terms of the mandate, but what will benefit the mandate of others, as well as being driven primarily by the public good, and what will serve South Africa in cooperation better. So I think we need to look at that. I look at 6.13, for example, 6.14, when we're talking about that situation going to 6.17. So if we can just we can just have an engagement around that. And then the other thing that I did not get clarity upon is this withdrawal by Total from the South Otanica Basin Block 11B and 12B. Does it mean that maybe if you have the details, whether is there still a handle that they have, or we are now at liberty to bring whoever that can just fill the space? And then under 6.5, if you can just help whenever you're making certain references, like you talk of a Westwood Global Energy Group report, it will help to date stamp it or properly reference it, so that one can go check for himself what this for oneself in terms of what this entails. And I think with regard to the dates on under 6.6, we said there was I'm not so sure for which date to now 2028. If you can just work on that, just a fine tuning. But overall, a good report that is worth engaging upon and helping us actually in advocating from a strong point. Let me leave it at that, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you for your inputs. Ms. Masetti, any comments from your side?
Sorry, the Chairperson, I just forgot one thing.
Yes, go ahead.
I think the issue of the establishment of the National Petroleum Company is important to highlight here, because that has got a lot to do in terms of how some of these opportunities can better be seized, turned into commercial ventures. Because we note all of this development, but what is not coming out clearly is how then we position ourselves and are able to take advantage of that. Because sometimes there's this fallacy that because the gas is in Mozambique or in Namibia, now we are fine, or in the region. You can have gas or whatever resource, but it's already spoken to, and that gas is destined for the high seas, and it's not going to come anywhere close to us, though we're so close to them. Just want to highlight that. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkize. Apologies, I think I had muted myself. Colleagues, I think most of these, I wanted though Ms. Maseti to also add in. Yeah.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I take note of the proposal from the colleagues, just to inform the colleagues that we are engaging with various stakeholders with regards to the potential gas plateau in the current fields in Mozambique. And we there are some exploration work, drilling work that is happening. But also just to indicate, Chairperson, that I have spoken to the team to bring a report that is much more focused on the supply, on the gas supply options, in as much as these things are stated in this report, but a report that deals specifically with the challenges that we are facing in the country with the looming gas depletion resources in Mozambique. If the team can come up with a submission to the committee, looking also at the gas supply options that are available. So that report will come to the committee to address this. Maybe, I don't know if we probably need to also just wait and then combine these things in that kind of a report, and then maybe we can share it. And also, Chairperson, you must remember that there is a gas strategy work that the committee has asked the division to do, and that report is also coming. I'm sure by January it will be before the committee. Lastly, Chairperson, with regards to other like the domestic, domestic resources in terms of exploration, we know that there are still some challenges. There isn't sufficient exploration that is taking place. But what we know is that in terms of Bullbrother gas field and Lay Belt, there are still some other parties, not only Total Energies, that are still around. It's just that it's only one partner that exited the fields. With Orange Basin, we have already known, I'm sure the team must also speak to that there are parties on the South African side, not on the Namibian side, that have already shown interest, and there is work that is being done on the Orange Basin side of things for the South African side. I think, I'm not sure if Total Energies, I think it's also involved there. So if the team can also clarify those, that there are some areas, but it will also take long. And there's also the report about Kinetico, which is making significant progress in terms of developing the coal bed methane in Mpumalanga, and there's been reports almost every week in terms of the flow rate, which is really promising in terms of the wells that have already been built there. So it's just that the timelines in terms of aligning with the gas plateau in Mozambique and the other projects getting ready, that's where maybe there could be some challenge there. Otherwise, there are some projects that developers are working on. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Ms. Maseti, for those inputs. And I think, colleagues, Mr. Mkize has already said that on 6.13 to 6.17, let's do some massaging of it. The language, for instance, in 6.17, we talk about that yet little has been done. I'm sure we can have other positive language, and members have expressed their appreciation of the report, that it's commendable. And there are certain things that you're lifting out, that as much as there's a gas cliff by 2027, and whatever Sasol is doing, which would also assist in compiling a report that would go to the department, because it would not be misaligned with the initiatives that SASOL is making, because we are going to say 2027 and SASOL will go and say 2028 because they have initiatives that they're taking. So it's that alignment that is going to be important, and showing that the only alternative for now, I think, which is what you have shown in paragraph and in figure 2 or table, figure 2, where there's the comparison of the natural gas and liquefied natural gas, that after the price cliff, it's a price steep period, which is probably going to be unaffordable for many of these, if it's going to be 6 times that price. So colleagues, I think when we write it, we need to have that part where we are the ones that have the authority to talk about when it comes to the pricing and the controlling of the price. And the other things, yes, are important, but we have to be careful of sticking to our lane as well. With that, colleagues, can I just take you to the recommendations? Mr. Ngumalo, help me. Where are the recommendations?
Policy Chairperson, I was struggling to unmute myself. The recommendations are on page 24 under paragraph 14.
If you could read them into the record, Mr. Ngumalo.
Chairperson, the recommendation is for noting of the report. It's essentially for noting of the report, Chairperson. I think we've taken into account the input that has been provided by members with regard to sharing the report with the policymaker as soon as the refinements that have been proposed by members have been done.
So we are only going to then have recommendation that 14.1 that we note the report. The other 14.12 and 14.13 are things that are contained in the report. May you indicate, colleagues, by raising your hands if you are in support of noting recommendation 4.11. Got Advocate Sithole, Ms. Maseti, Mr. Gumede, Mr. Mkhize.
Supported.
And Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize, and thank you, colleagues, for your inputs. Colleagues, we are now on item number 10, which is the monthly gas volume, SASOL monthly gas volume balance report for September 2024. Mr. Ngumalo.
Thank you, Chairperson. This is a report on the volume balance for the month of September 2024. Chairperson, the report then details, as we normally try to do, the volumes of gas that were transported across the border from Mozambique, and including the volumes that went to certain parties that are players within the market and are participating in the importation of that gas. And those include companies like SOSO South Africa, which is a subsidiary of SOSO, the South African company, and also Kwande Gas, which is another importer. And lastly, then it details the volumes that were then delivered to SOSO Gas as the main player within the market for supply into the South African market. Chairperson, I think what we've noted, perhaps just to emphasize for the purpose of, for the benefit of members, is that we've noted and have engaged with SOSO Gas and Romco on this, that there has been a decline in the inventory, in other words, reflecting the volumes of gas that were supplied to the local market for the month of September. And I think if members will note this on table number 1 on page 6, that the volumes of gas that were provided in the previous month in August were actually higher than the volumes that have been provided for this month. We've asked SOSO Gas to basically provide an explanation with that, for that, and that explanation will be provided to members maybe at the next meeting as soon as we get it from the company. Chair, I think the other thing to just indicate is that through obviously the interventions that we've made with social again, we've seen a notable decline in the variance, which members might recall was previously as high as 1.5 to 2%, which was a worrying factor. And members will note that in this case, that the variance has actually declined to about 0.29, which is fairly, a positive development compared to what it used to be in the past. Chairperson, I think maybe with those issues highlighted, and again, just to add that any corrections on the tables, will be attended to, just to ensure that anything that might be, incorrect there is corrected quickly. I think, Chairperson, I'll end it there, maybe and hand over to you for questions or any inputs.
Thank you, Mr. Ngumalo. Members of the PGS, any questions, comments? Mr. Gumede, I was hoping that you would comment on your discussions with Mr. Milato, as I see that on the table 1, now the volume, the error is only expressed in one area, but I didn't find in the submission a discussion around the fact that there are other conversion errors that vary, that therefore don't make the error comparison in if you use volumes or gigajoules. Did you have those discussions, Mr. Gumede? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Unfortunately, we didn't, but I did also note that at least we limited the comparison of the variance to what is contractual. So that's why I didn't even pursue the matter. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Any other inputs, colleagues? My only input would be that Mr. Milato and Mr. Ngumalo, that we have been writing those volumes there, so we are not chickening out. If we could have just 2 sentences, paragraphs that indicate that we are not going to do the comparison with the gigajoules. First, that it's not contracted. Secondly, that there's a conversion factor issue that we would need to take into account, and it will make this complicated, and what suffices is what has been contracted. Would that be acceptable, Mr. Milato?
Yes, Chair, we will do that, Chair. I think it's a better option as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Colleagues, members of the PGS, Mr. Ngumalo?
Thank you, Chairperson. I just wanted to add again that as members will pick up when we get to the matters arising, there is a workshop that will be done where maybe we'll try and, at a more convenient time in terms of availability of members to take members through these calculations as previously suggested at the last meeting. We are still seeking a date with RSU for that particular workshop. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Ngumalo, are you on matters arising now?
No, it's not on matters arising, Chairperson. I was just linking it to the matters arising, saying that it is actually captured in the matters arising, but the issue relates to this. I was just adding that indeed on the issue of the calculations, how they're done around the volume balance report, at the last meeting, the committee actually did propose that there should be a workshop. I was just saying that we've engaged RSU.
I think I was trying to say to you that yes, thank you. It's a matter that's on matters arising. We will deal with it in matters arising. But thank you for alerting us as well, colleagues. We maybe go to the recommendations, Mr. Ngumalo. The recommendations are long. You did not read them into the record, but I am going to just request the members to note that the important part is the 0.29 volume balance that we are noting for approval. The recommendations are on page, I think they're under 14. I unfortunately can't see what the page is. That we must note the volumes, but the important one is G, that the volume variance of September is negative 0.29. Please raise your hands, colleagues, to indicate that you are happy to note the report on the volume balance. I've got Advocate Sithole, Mr. Mkhize, Mr. Gumede, and Ms. Masetti. Thank you. The report is noted. Colleagues, I think we are at the end of our open meeting. May I thank the members of the public who have been following us in the different platforms, and thank you for your time, and thank you for listening to us. And we always welcome your guidance in as far as how we should be interfacing with you, and we would always strive to improve on how we interface with you to ensure that what we want to be a world-class regulator recognized in that way, it is done because you recognize us as the